we rarely get a chance to sit behind the scenes of SureWorx and look at the state of the industry, the state of technology in construction. And so I wanted to take the chance while we're here at the summit to get your reflections on, I guess, how people approach technology in construction.
Yeah.
And the little tidbits of insight that you've gained from your conversations here so far, and where you think the industry is heading when it comes to technology in construction.
Yeah, well, I mean, we are at a very exciting point. The industry is at a point where it has sort of learned to walk, and it can start running. So it's at an inflection point, where there was dearth of innovation and solution, literally just 3 options available in the market 5 years back. Now you've got plenty more. And I think we are going from Gen 1 to Gen 2, and by that I mean Gen 1 solutions where I understand one problem and I've got a solution for it, which is fine. But then Gen 2 is more around how to aggregate them, because you certainly cannot have proliferation of 15 different small island apps. The people on site are quite busy. They can't and don't want to open 5 different apps with 5 different UI, UXs, logins, etc. So my analogy would be, it was great to have Microsoft Word and Excel, and then came Outlook, and then came other Microsoft bits. But now what you have is Office 365. And once you get Office 365, you just get the whole package. Like you don't need Slack for messaging and Zoom for video. It's just all in one package.
Yeah.
And there's a market for it. And that's what I mean by Gen 2, that you move from island solutions to more aggregated platform solutions. And that means that your data gets more structured, more organized. And once the data gets more structured, and everyone says that in AI, the foundational bit is structure of your data. Otherwise, it's garbage in, garbage out. So I think the move from point solutions to aggregated platform solutions, but still retaining the flexibility of, taking a couple of Lego pieces out, so modular solutions. Then making your data as meta-rich as possible, metadata rich, and then once you have that, then you have the conditions for AI agents to come in.
Yep.
That's why I say it's at an inflection point, because if you sort all those sort of license to drive things up, then you are on to a pretty exciting journey ahead.
And the technology is there too now, so we can feasibly have something that is more of a comprehensive solution under the one roof. We're not having to use, I guess, bespoke technological solutions, so that there's more universal capabilities within these digital platforms, right?
Yeah, very true. And so platform play is one. Starting to think about the AI agent side is another. And what's the difference between normal automation to AI agent? Well, normal automation is task focused. It's just a bouncing ball that does 3 things, whereas AI agent can deal with unstructured data, and not only does the task, but it focuses on decision making or decision augmentation.
Yep.
So it does much more than the bouncing ball. So structured versus unstructured data, and task orientation versus decision orientation. And so that's what we're looking at.
Just double check. It's all well and good to talk about these all-in-one technological solutions and AI and the frontier of technology, but at the end of the day, there are still workers at the end of these solutions. There's still businesses that are looking at their own business case, their profit margins, the actually delivering the value that they're there to deliver. We've had a couple of conversations today that's really struck me. to reinforce that point that, we're still using paper in a lot of instances. We're still having to operationalize this technology in remote areas, and I think there's a bit of a gap with the vision of technology in the construction industry and the real practical application. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I would agree, and it's a slow march to success, and that is also a factor of the industry, where change management is a little bit more challenging, for good reason, than what I'm used to in non-construction domains. You've got more field-based work, access to internet, and bandwidth is getting better, with Starlink and everything. But yeah, your app needs to be offline native, which is not a big requirement for a lot of other softwares. People are very time poor. Like, they are on site, weather conditions, lots of subcontractors coming in at short notice, delays in deliveries, all that is happening. Lots of risks to manage. And that would mean that people default to what they have known and the processes that have worked for them for 10, 15 years. So they are open to change. It's just that it becomes more than solution deployment. It becomes an organizational change management initiative. And for that you need, it's bottom up and top down. So top down, messaging from execs that we are going to embrace digital, and that is for risk management, improving margins and work-life balance, and that becomes a consistent holistic message in every forum. So there is a push from top down culturally, and then there are solutions that we talked about that make adoption easier. It should be as easy as the favorite app or game that you have.
Yep.
And if you gamify that a little bit, 5 buttons and you're there, then there's incentive to go, well, that's not too hard. So I think change management, top-down messaging, being consistent, making sure that there is an innovation forum or digital team that becomes this conduit between a suitable solution, the IT team, and the ops team, which is ultimately going to use it. And then how to bring the back office and the on-site crews together. And the software needs to do that with good training, intuitive interface, and data which is presented to them where the dashboards and all that makes sense. So it's a multi-layered thing.
Well, within the organization itself, this industry is reliant upon partnerships, and in particular, when talking about asset management and asset lifecycle, we're looking at multiple handoffs across the life of that asset. Right?
Yeah.
If you were an asset owner, looking at really valuing the digital assets of a project, in terms of being able to ensure better quality of life of that asset over its whole lifespan.
Yeah.
How would you inspire your partners to, I guess, invest their headspace and their time in solutions like SureWorx?
Well, firstly, bringing about collaborative contracting, that if we were to work together, everyone wins. You manage risks better, gives you the best chance to hit your timeline and your margins. There could be more lessons learned, and you capture that tacit knowledge as a containerized workflow, so that if you guys collaborate again, then the template is ready, and hence you can aim for higher margin, smoother operations. So just making sure that it is not a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
Everyone wins when you collaborate, and being very deliberate around data sharing, because the bane of any solution in terms of success or otherwise is the depth with which you share data, and you share only that data that you are contracted to share. But then when you share, it is through permission, not just a bunch of PDFs and zip files, and that it's a very rich data which becomes searchable and all that. So so just set up the collaborative contracting, start talking from the inception. If one win, everyone wins. That becomes a model, and then clear data contracts between partners, vendors.
I mean, look, it's also a case of seeking those vendors that have that inbuilt in their operations, that are good custodians of the data.
Yeah.
It's not just an afterthought.
Yeah.
And
the data is everywhere. So the industry has operated since early days,
beginning of time.
And so the data is there. It is just in format which is not conducive for effective collaboration and intelligent search and things like that, right? So if someone were to give you a handover after a project of a 10 gig, 20 gig file, or 2 terabyte file with 3,000 files in it, it will be finding a needle in the haystack if you were to find where that defect was and who dealt with it when and whose liability it is to fix it. So the data is there. It is being handed over, but it is just not ready for intelligent use and smarter search and all that. So it's about converting that data into something which is end-to-end digital, overlaying data contracts on it so that only right people have limited access to it. And then the magic of digitization happens in terms of dashboarding, search, AI agents, etc.
You can have the most technologically advanced and modern sports car imaginable. You don't have the right fuel to put in it, and you don't have the roads to drive it on.
Yeah,
it sits there useless in the garage unless you want it as a really expensive.
It's a museum
piece.
Yes. So that's very true.
I think that's our the YouTube thumbnails. Don't let your ERP be a museum piece. Don't let your construction management software be a.
And the way and I'll cover that in the innovation talk coming up. That we see SureWorx-like systems as the fourth pillar of the industry, and the other three pillars being an ERP system, a bunch of engineering software, including 3D and BIM software that you would use, and project control software. So those are the three pieces of software that a company is invariably going to have in some form today. May that be spreadsheets or some rudimentary or end-to-end ERP. So SureWorx is everything but that, because that problem's been solved. A lot of them also overarch into what SureWorx tries to do, which is effective end-to-end field data capture, document, asset lifecycle management. But they don't do it well enough because it's an overreach.
Yeah.
So they would do their core finance functions as 8, 9 out of 10, but health and safety or quality could be 4 out of 10 because it's just a basic form.
A tacked on solution.
Yeah. So that's where we go fairly deep in terms of what value we add out of box, and then it sort of adds on. That becomes the fourth pillar among the other three pillars, and that it integrates holistically.